Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you guys for supporting me. So in my last video, I talked about how I relocated on a scholarship and then how I got my family to come and join me. And I've been getting a lot of feedback and most people are asking, but Tafara, how do you manage financially? Can a scholarship be able to can a scholarship stipend really be able to support a family? So today I want to be very honest and practical about this because this is something that most people overlook when they are looking into issues of relocating with family, and sometimes they underestimate it. And trust me, when they come, when things don't go the way as they planned, it becomes something that makes them, go mental or something about it. So yeah, let's talk about stipends, real family costs, how you can plan ahead if you're moving abroad with your loved ones, because this is very, I would say this is very important. You might then struggle to really study because you're worried about how am I going to manage with the finances, or things are not balancing out. And don't get me wrong, when you're here, if you have money, you have money. If you don't, you don't. Honestly, it's very easy to become homeless when you're here. It's different from when like you are home, you don't have a place. You can always stay with relatives and all of that stuff. Here, you are alone most of the times. And the people, the community that you have, of course, they would really want to help you, but with the situation, most of them might not be able to accommodate you. So let's talk about it, right? First, let's understand what a stipend is. A stipend is a monthly allowance that you receive from your scholarship, and it's usually meant to cover you as a single student, not the family. And it is designed to take off your accommodation, your food, your transport, and your living expenses. And depending on the country that you are in, it can range anywhere from 1,000 euros to 2,000 euros. Some are lucky, they might get more. But trust me, for most students, it's within this range. And sometimes, if you are in a high income country, some scholarship boards take into account that, some countries have got like a higher cost of living than others. And they kind of try to buffer up. But in most cases, especially if you're coming with an Erasmus program and you have to move between countries, you might find out that maybe your first year might be on the low side of the cost of living, and your second year you might end up in a country whereby even your stipend will just take you as far as it can get. Most scholarship, most stipends that I don't know, they don't include dependents in their calculation. They just include Tafara and Tafara alone. So while it is a fair amount of money for one person or a single person, when you bring your spouse and children, that's a different ballgame altogether. Suddenly, the same stipend that is sustaining student A who is single becomes not so enough for someone who has a family. So let's talk about it. It's something that you guys really need to know and prepare your mindset when you come. So when you have a family, right? This changes everything financially. All of the cards that you had laid on the table change altogether. So let's be real. If you were single, you could stay in a shared accommodation, like an apartment with 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, whereby you share the kitchen and the bathroom. And when you're sharing, of course, the rental cost is much more smaller. Number two, you can eat simple meals. My food budget when I was alone was way on the low side. I could, save money and stuff. But my food, when Riley and the dad joined me, became a different, budget altogether. I'm like, I'm spending this much on food. And I'm comparing my budgets when I was still alone before they joined me. And then the other thing, transport. The good thing is, the city I am in, the transport is actually good. I don't want to lie. You can get anywhere with the public transport, and the intervals are not so bad. But if I was in the city that I was in when I was doing my masters, sometimes when I'm alone, I can, enjoy staying at the bus stop for like 30 minutes, even though it's cold and stuff. But when I'm with Riley, sometimes I have to rethink, is it really worth it for me to stay 30 minutes? Or maybe I should just get an Uber or a taxi to go home early. Like, the flexibility that I had when I was alone kind of becomes different when I'm with Riley. And that also has an effect on your pocket. So, the truth of the matter is, when you are with your family, the rent goes up immediately. You need bigger space. Some of the landlords would be, reserved about people with kids. And so maybe when you are doing apartment hunting, it would have been easier if you're single. But when you have a family, you have to put some things into consideration. And as I said, food costs double, sometimes triple. And there's one thing that I think you've had everyone in the diaspora talking about, like, okay, childcare is expensive. Hear it from me, childcare is expensive here. Back home, we can have our aunties helping us with the kids, we can have our relatives helping us with the kids. Here it's you and you alone, you and your husband. You are the one who have to figure out what you have to do with childcare. So you might need to put your child in kindergarten. And of course, some of the government places are much more cheaper. You have to pay, a small amount of money. But it's not guaranteed that you get a place in the government places. Sometimes your child has to go to private kindergarten where you have to pay a little bit more. As I am talking right now, you're seeing that the costs are always going up and up. And when you're a student, the kind of insurance that you have to pay for, it's not as much when I have to add my husband and my son. So medical insurance will also go up. And those are like real costs. Those are like real recurring costs. What it means is that every month I have to make sure I pay for health insurance. I have to make sure that I pay for the Kiga fees, the kindergarten fees for Riley. If probably our jobs are not allowing us to even, be able to pick him up on time, I might have to also have an extra cost of someone who picks him up before I can pick him. All of those things really, come into play. And as you are seeing it, only your stipend only would not be able to suffice. And some of you might be giving me questions. Oh, what if my husband is not working? Of course, when your husband is not working, it's actually kind of toned down because he's at home. But trust me, who wants to come and stay at home? In reality, when our partners come, we want them to work so that we help each other with costs and all of that stuff. So when you're moving, assume the stipend only covers you, and you have to create a separate plan on how you have to support your family until you're fully settled. You have to put these things into consideration. Otherwise, when you come, you will sink into depression, or you start saying, people said, oh, abroad is very easy. Abroad life would be good. And you're alone facing all of these things. So I'm talking about these things in relation to my experience so that you prepare your mindset if you are going through the same route as I did. Let's talk about what worked for me. Hopefully, it can work for you, and I hope it can help you make the decisions. Number one is housing. Look for affordable housing close to the campus or with utilities included. Don't find those apartments that say rent is this much and then you have to pay utilities like electricity, water, blah, 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 gas, all of those things will stress you because most landlords put that in place so that when it's winter, when you need a lot of electricity and heating, the costs go up. Some people even pay close to 1.5 to 2,000 euros heating costs during the winter period, which I think as a student, you don't need that. So always find accommodation that actually has utilities included. And I don't know, this is what I've seen in Europe. Most student accommodations in their last floor or in their first floor, they have apartments that cater for family. So as you're looking for accommodation before you go out to private housing out there, check with your university if they have buildings that accommodate families. In my case, my university has a building that accommodate families. The only thing you have to show them is that you are a student, you are currently enrolled, and you have to renew that every year so that people don't take advantage of those housing systems and students who really need them don't get them because someone who did a PhD or his PhD finished 2 years later and still want to stay in student accommodation. So, before you even go out there to look for private housing, please check with your university. And if that is not a possibility, sometimes consider living slightly outside the city center because you can actually save hundreds of euros per month. Of course, living in the city center is good, the convenience and everything, but you really need to calculate and say, okay, is it worth it for me to get this place which is this expensive when I can get it in districts that are not in the inner city center? And it's a plus. Obviously, if your city has good transport system, I'm in Vienna and Vienna has good transport system, and trust me, it doesn't matter which place do I stay. Honestly, even if I live in the districts that are outside, it is still feasible because I can get to work anytime because of the good connections. But of course, this doesn't apply to everyone. You need to, assess in the city that you're studying in to see is it worth it to live outside. But really, this does really help. And then number two is budgeting. Guys, if you don't do budgeting and you just like living like somebody who doesn't know where they are going, guys, you will be stressed every month. You need to track every expense in the first few months. Of course, it doesn't have to be every time, but you need to track your expenses in your first few months, and you will quickly see like, where is my money going? Where can you cut down? Like for me, for example, when my husband and son joined, I made sure that I was recording each and every expense that we were getting. This has helped me to project like, how much do we need per month for food? How much do we need per month for miscellaneous stuff? And I was doing this religiously since the day they landed until I had like records for like, 4 or 5 months, and I could see that okay, our food fluctuates from this amount to that amount, and it is needed. There are a lot of budgeting apps that you can do in your phone that can scan your receipts and help you like put things like, this is food, this is housing expenses, this is bathing and cosmetics. So I have an app that I use to budget for that, and it helped me see, okay, at first I separated food items from meat, and then now that I know, I just bundle them together. It becomes easier. And during those time, we could track how much we were snacking, how much we were not, and it just really helps. See very quickly that, okay, I need to cut down on snacks. Okay, we had a lot of outside dinners this month. Okay, when buying meat in supermarkets, it's a bit expensive than if I go to the Asian shops. They are much more cheaper. You just factor in quite a lot of things. That leads me to my point number 3. Cook at home, guys. When you come here, you want to kind of adapt to the lifestyle. People who are here eat outside. And if you calculate, it's expensive. So, in as much as you would want to keep up with things that are going on, please cook at home if you have a family. I cannot emphasize this enough. Eating out will drain your stipend fast. At least have like a schedule where you say, okay, we can eat out once a month if it fits your budget. But please cook at home. Plan your meals. I made sure that I plan my meals, and honestly, a meal plan has kind of helped me to budget, because before I just get in the shop, oh, I don't know what I want to cook. I end up picking up things that I don't even need to use. But with a meal plan, if it's saying potatoes, if it says we are going to have pasta, I get things that help me with pasta and all of that, right? And whilst I'm at food, if you can buy things in bulk, instead of buying a small bottle of cooking oil, but just buy a big one and see how far it takes you. You would see that maybe you only buy cooking oil once in 3 months if you buy a 5 liter like us. Just try by all means to ensure that you don't have some extra costs that are not necessary. And then number 4, One thing that really helps is having community support. I cannot stress this enough. Connect with other families from your country or your program. You will find people sharing tips, sometimes get babysitting help, even furniture or clothes. You know what? Here I've seen that when people are moving out, they just, give out things. So you don't need to like have an overhaul of getting furniture, a couch. Sometimes you get them for free. And how do you get to know that? By joining some community support groups, joining some family groups, and this would really help you to cut down on costs. Thing that I want to talk about is save what you can. That gives you peace of mind. I remember when I started out, I wanted to save hundreds and hundreds of dollars like every month. And bit by bit, it was eating away my peace. And I was like, okay, if I don't meet this amount, I was so stressed. And then I sat down and I realized that I'm operating on a family budget. Yet I want to save like someone who is still staying alone. So I had to adjust the amounts I save per month. So even 50 euros a month would really help. Remember, there are going to be visa renewals and the cost is going to be times three if it's in my case. There can be emergencies. People can get sick. A lot of emergencies can come through, right? And then there are a lot of costs that always pop up when you least expect them. And when you're a family, you would need those savings because they are very important. So please make sure that you plan and prepare accordingly. The other thing to leverage on is your spouse will be allowed to work. In most cases, I know in Europe, your dependent is allowed to work. So if they can work part time, if they're allowed to work part time, it really helps with the costs as well. Now, there's one thing that I want to talk about that is very important. Most of these countries have got systems that help you to allow, like, that help you with your child support and all of that. Always check if you're eligible. If you're eligible, take advantage of them. If you're not, we understand we are foreigners and you can always leverage on the other things that I've shared. But most countries that I've stayed in and that I have had experience with, you can actually apply for some family allowance or support. And some of them might not give you support direct, but there's tax returns that they give you, which when you get in the middle of the year could actually take you somewhere. So before you move, or when you move, research and see what's best for you. And I hope that my experience has actually opened you up to some of the things that you can actually leverage on. So the truth is, moving with family abroad is not a kid's game. It's something that can be stressful if you don't plan. But it doesn't mean it's not possible. It is very possible. What you need is discipline. What you need is planning, proper planning in place. And what you need is patience. So don't let the fears of like, okay, how am I going to handle my finances stop you from chasing your dreams. Sometimes it means going first, settling down, bringing your family later when you're ready. Or it means even going together and figuring out each and every step as you go. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your blueprint has to be the same with Tafara, but the whole goal we all know is to chase our dreams. And remember that when you get a scholarship, you're not only studying, it's a stepping stone for a better future for your family and for you yourself. So I would like to encourage you to plan very well. Use your stipend wisely. Stay hopeful, keep in touch with what's happening in the community. One thing that I forgot to share, grocery shops have got some discounts. So always follow those apps. You might save quite a lot. So yeah, I hope that this helps you. And if you haven't watched my video on relocating with family, please do so. You might learn one or two things. Go and check it out and get the full background story of why I made this video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'll be sharing more videos about scholarships, relocation, and family life abroad. So thank you guys for watching. I am so thankful that you guys are watching, liking, and commenting, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.